Hello, eighth graders. This is our lecture on the third planet from the sun, Home Sweet Home, Earth. This lecture is going to be quite short because we already talk about all of the unique things about Earth in their own private units throughout the year. Like we've talked about tectonics, we're talking about astronomy now, we talk about weather and meteorology and our atmosphere later on in the spring. Okay, so I'm just going to mention a few things here. We know that one of the things that makes Earth unique in our solar system is that it is home to life, a very vast diversity of life that we see here. And it isn't just what is living now. We have a very rich history of living things. In fact, it is said that only 1% of whatever lived is currently living now. That means if you take all of the organisms that have ever walked on Earth and existed on Earth, 99% of them are now extinct. And that's kind of an incredible thing to think about if you think about the just the number of insects or plants in a rainforest. That's a huge number. And if all of the things that are on Earth today, alive today, account for 1% of the species that have ever existed. Pretty cool. In addition to life, it is also home to vast amounts of water. 70% of Earth is covered in water. Most of that water is in our oceans, and then we've got a lot of water trapped in our ice caps on the North and South Pole, and then a smaller amount of water that is in our freshwater lakes and streams and groundwater. We have one moon. It is the only planet with one moon. Mercury and Venus have 0 moons. Mars, which we'll talk about next, has 2, and then the gas giants have several each. Our atmosphere, that invisible orb of gases, that mixture of gases that surrounds our Earth, also make it unique and are vital to our survival and vital to life as we know it here on our planet. It has a perfect combination for life as we know it, and it hasn't always been like that. There is evidence that says that, our atmosphere may have been like some of the other planets in our past. But currently, we have an atmosphere that is 78% nitrogen. Nitrogen is the most abundant gas. Now we have to think of our whole atmosphere as going from the ground level up several thousand kilometers into the sky. Okay, so we're talking about all of the layers. When I say nitrogen is the most abundant gas, that's all of the layers. Oxygen is the second most abundant gas, and that is primarily found in that very lowest layer where we live, called the troposphere. Okay, but then as we go up in our atmosphere, that oxygen decreases and decreases. Our atmosphere is also home to the ozone layer, which is a protective layer in the stratosphere, which is the second layer of the atmosphere up. The ozone layer protects us from the harmful rays from the sun. Okay, another thing that makes our atmosphere unique. And our atmosphere also protects us from meteors slamming into us. Does it happen every once in a while? Yeah. Little pieces and parts, or sometimes big pieces and parts, can make it through the atmosphere, but the bulk of meteors, asteroids, and comets are vaporized. They are just burnt up in our atmosphere as they come flying towards us. So our atmosphere really works as a protective shield. Another thing that makes our planet unique is our tectonic movement. Just looking at this picture of the planet, you can see the tectonic boundaries very, very clearly. We know that there's a divergent boundary right here in the middle of the ocean. You can see that there's boundaries down here. You can certainly see the boundaries right here. You can even see, if you look really closely, we've talked about that little Juan de Fuca plate right here. You can see some of the boundaries in the Pacific Ocean. You can clearly see this boundary right here. You can see over by Japan where all of these boundaries are meeting and really making this area right here very tectonically active. Actually, along this whole line is very, very tectonically active. We see our massive mountain range, the Himalayan mountains here. That is the convergence of a continental plate and a continental plate. So it's very clear that our land is constantly moving and changing, and that is a unique thing here to Earth. Alrighty, so we are going to we're gonna talk about Mars as well today. Just wanted to give you a quick overview of Earth, and we'll talk soon.